the Insidious franchise has been around for quite a while now. It's been around since the first Insidious movie came out. I think in 2010, 2011, that was one
2010.
of 2010.
Yep.
So that was one of James Wan's projects when he was just, I mean, the guy was firing
On
on
fire.
all cylinders when it came to horror, from Saw to The Conjuring to, of course, the Insidious
Hmm.
franchise. And they have made now four sequels to that first film that was really, really successful. But this movie, The Red Door, is a direct sequel to Insidious 2 because the previous two installments to the Insidious franchise were technically prequels to that first film. And so this
Hmm.
one is now the first one that's directly following up the events of Insidious 2, which came out in 2013. And it's notably also Patrick Wilson's directorial debut. Patrick Wilson has been a mainstay in this franchise since the first one. He's also made frequent appearances in other James Wan projects and is also a lead actor in the Conjuring movies and will continue on with that franchise as it continues to take shape over the next few years, whether it's in films or in series that they're planning to produce. But he's coming on as a director here, and so he's taking over the
Hmm.
mantle for the Insidious franchise. I have not gotten a chance to check this out just yet, but you did go check it out a couple of weeks ago. So with all of that out the way, I will pass it over to you. What did you think about Insidious: The Red Door?
Oh, I'm not even gonna hold you. I do not like this movie at all. It is, yeah, no, bro. So I love the ambition here to add another Insidious installment. In fact, this story really is about uh the departure between Patrick Wilson and Ty Simpkins characters. I'm forgetting their names in the movie, as they have completely wiped their memory of everything that has happened in the first two Insidious movies.
Oh,
Neither one of them remember what's going on. The premise of the story, I enjoy. I like that idea. How do we get back to know what's happening in what is known as the further, which is what these movies are about. Going somewhere else when you're asleep, astral projection into another realm that does contain demon-like entities that can possess your body when you are astral projecting. This movie is the same as the first movie, except Todd Simpkins' character is in college. It's the same movie. They are doing all of the same. The whole idea is the exact same. Neither one of them really know what astral projection is. And then they fuck around and find out what it is. And there are a couple decent things about this movie. One, the way it's shot is pretty decent. There are things about it cinematography wise that look okay. It looks that some of it actually looks good, and you're like, oh, I like this. Another thing about it is I think Ty Simpkins was doing pretty good. First of all, this kid has grown the hell up. I did not know. I was like, is that Ty Simpkins? Is that who it is? Oh my goodness, this is crazy. I did not know who it was. But the acting is fine. It is what it is. It's not Patrick Wilson's in it. I mean, he's gonna do what he does. He's always gonna show up. But the way the story works and the way the story folds is just not it for me. One, it's really boring. It's long. I think it's over 2 hours. And
wow.
I think so. I may be wrong. No, 107 minutes. It's right under.
Still
107
long
minutes. It's
though.
right under.
Yeah.
It's still long. And it doesn't reward the slow moments for me. This movie tries to do something where it does try to get us to believe in the story in within its character moments, within Ty Simpkins moving to college, him moving in with a roommate, and the roommate being a black girl, and the black girl having to figure out that Ty Simpkins can astral project in what that means. And a lot of those ideas are fine, but the ways in which we get there are kind of just like, why are we here? There's a moment because they're in college, they end up at like this college frat party, and you're like, why? But why are we here? I understand he's in college, but the ways in which everything goes down just doesn't work for me. It's just kind of boring. Not only that, I have to give it to you straight. The dialogue in this movie is trash. It is written terribly. Oh my God, it's so bad. So, the beginning of the movie, this is not really a spoiler. The movie really opens with the matriarch of the family has died. Patrick Wilson's mother has died. It cuts to his daughter, and the daughter goes, I miss grandma. I almost threw my popcorn across. What? What? not only that, we actually never see her again in the movie. That's the only time.
Oh, okay. So
That's the
one
only
line
time.
and you're done.
That's the only time this girl is in the film. And it's just this movie. I like the ambition. Again, I like the premise of the film. Almost everything else on the execution level was not working for me. Of course, you go to these movies to be afraid and to be scared, but the patience doesn't work out for me. The patience isn't a patient that you go, oh, I'm happy they waited and they lingered on this thing and now I'm afraid. It's like, no, I knew what the hell was going to happen. You took 30 minutes to get here. What's the resolution? And by the end of the movie, you're like, this cannot be the story. This cannot be where we ended up. It's kind of whack at the end of the day. Again, at least to me. And so I'm very disappointed. In case you don't know, people know I'm a big James Wan fan. The first Insidious was doing a lot. I think people don't recognize how good that first Insidious was and what it was doing for the horror industry at the time. It was different. It was shocking people. People were going to go see Insidious like it was nobody's business. And this franchise somehow continues to do at least somewhat successful financially. Again, somehow after The Last Key, I don't know how we're here, but we're here. And again, I was just looking for more, man. I was looking for more than a repeat of the first story all grown up. This is Insidious all grown up is what this movie is. And it's just not working for me, man. So yeah, I hoped for better, but I did not get it.
Clearly not enough of a reason to break a story to basically rehash a lot of what already took place in the first one. Because if you're just wiping the memories of our characters from the events of those first two movies and having them relive all of that stuff and discover it for the first time, then what's really the point, as you said, besides the fact that they have gotten older, which we can clearly see that. Like, obviously there's been a progression of 12, 13 years since that last movie, but it is crazy how well it's doing. I think the budget for the movie was about 16 million, and right now it's sitting at like 120 million globally at the box office. So the brand name of Insidious obviously still works and it still gets people in theaters, which is pretty crazy considering The Last Key was so bad, because that movie was not great either. Which is why I didn't necessarily rush out to see this one. I did want to see, what the feedback and the general thoughts were going to be. I did come into it envisioning like, well, maybe if we're directly picking up after two, that can give the story some momentum. I typically like my storytelling to move forward as opposed to backwards. Prequels are cool and they have their place, but I do like to see what comes next. But them just revisiting, essentially the same type of tone and style from that first movie, I mean, that doesn't really compel, I think, anybody to say like, oh, this is something that I have to see. But somehow they've gotten people outside of their houses to go check out this movie. I do wonder what the future of the Insidious franchise looks like, but I think it's pretty clear and indicative that they will make more, but creatively, what does that actually mean for the story and how we're actually making this meaningful, as opposed to just doing something that feels like it's more of the same. And so we'll certainly have to see. But folks, those are all of our thoughts on Insidious: The Red Door. If you've checked out the fifth installment of the horror franchise, hit us up and let us know what you think.